Hello, welcome to the Pregnant with Purpose podcast. I'm your host, Regina Hassan, and this is a podcast for people who are 60 plus, who are living out or looking for their God-given purpose. We come to celebrate or encourage them. How's everyone doing today? Listen, today's show, we're going to talk about living out your purpose and living out your legacy, creating and building a legacy. Most people 60 plus retire in the great state of Florida. But my next guest, Mr. Danny Fleary, has been living out his God-given purpose while building a legacy of service. Hey, Danny.
Hey, Regina, how you doing, boy?
I'm doing well. Thanks for being with me today.
Yes, it's a joy to be with you. And we're here. I'm in Florida, you in Houston.
Yeah. So, let me just go over a little bio on you, Danny, okay?
Okay.
You born in Brooklyn, New York, native New Yorker, and you served some time in the military, correct?
That's correct.
And it's safe to say that you had no idea that God was setting you up at that time. No idea at all, right?
Hey, setback for a setup.
Right, setback for a setup. That's right. Danny, you have had several occupations, from carpet cleaner to drug counselor, from FedEx driver to a tractor trailer driver as well.
Yeah.
You also have worked with Continental Airlines, right?
Yeah, it's United Airlines now.
Yeah, it sure is. And you worked on the ramp, you worked in customer service, and you also worked in sales with Continental Airlines, right?
Yes.
Then you retired in 2004 from Continental.
From Continental, yeah.
Now you may think that Danny's story ends here, but Danny found out quickly that there is no retirement in God's kingdom. Danny now resides in Riverview, Florida, with his lovely wife, Carla, of 22 years. Congratulations, Danny.
Thank you.
Danny has 6 children, 14 grandchildren, and 5 great-grandchildren. And for a test later on, I may make him name every single one of them. Every single one of them.
Hey, when they finish having them, I'm going to do that, Regina.
So, he's a man who is truly, truly blessed. May I present to you my friend, Mr. Danny Fleary. Hey, Danny, I hope I did you justice. I know there's a lot more to you than just the little part that I read, Danny, because you are a man who has always been driven by something. I've never thought of you as someone who would just retire and not be servicing or not doing some type of service. I've never seen you to be that type of person. I don't know if that's what your plan was, but tell me a little bit about your upbringing in New York, Danny.
Well, New York is New York, but I like to take a minute here to talk about my parents. My father was a West Indian immigrant, so he came to this country. And my mother was born and raised in New York City, but her parents were from the islands. So I was raised with a Wall Street banker mother. And when my father left the islands, they had to look for work in different places because there was no work in the islands. So that part of him was more of a connection person. So if you went to Aruba here, so the connection part of me, and he did tunnel construction. That was a family business, not a family business, but a union, father and son. So, it was like mining. So, when you're down there in that mine, it's like, you got to be a real man. Ain't no like you're going to be down there. And then my mother was more mental. So that's the system that I come out of. And growing up in New York, you learn early on, you got to have different streams. We didn't know it was revenue streams then. We were just hustling, selling cassette tapes, doing this. But my mother on the education side, she sent me to a Catholic school. And I just didn't color was inside the box, and so that that led me to go to a public school, and I had a lot of challenges in school. But overall, being raised in New York City and being raised from the West Indian culture that I had, it was always about they left the islands, they came with nothing, and they created something. And so that's given me, from day one. And my father used to take me to see his father in the cemetery. And he would always tell me, man, you carrying a seed. I'd be coming from a party or something. He'd take me to the cemetery at 6 o'clock in the morning on a train, talking about when we in front of my grandfather's grave, you carrying the seed. He carried it for me, now you carrying the seed. It didn't register then. But when I add up what has happened in my life and look back, go back, track it over, that's the genesis of it.
Okay. So, Danny always put me in the mind of, I don't know, if you 60 plus, you do remember there was a show called In Living Color back in the day. And, they used to do this spoof about a West Indian or a Jamaican family. They used to do a spoof about this family from the islands. And these people had multiple jobs, man. And, like the daughter of the family, she would bring her boyfriend home, and the daddy, his first question was, how many jobs you have, Mom? And, if they said something like, well, I work 2 jobs. You lazy bum, go do 2 jobs, So daddy always put me in the mind of the Headley family. That was their name, the Headley family.
A funny joke to that, Regina, is my father, he said to me one time, he said, oh, little boy that looks for work, you want to sit down home? I said, Dad, I'm only 9 years old.
That's the Headleys. That was the Headleys, Danny. Okay, so like I said, I know it's much more to your bio. We just have a limited amount of time. Okay. But can you take us back when you received that diagnosis, Danny, that was part of the change that happened in your life?
Yeah. Well, it connects. When I was in the military, I was in the military from 1970 to 1972. I was at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. It's the elite, Rangers and all that. I wasn't that, but so for some reason or another, I was at Fort Bragg. So that's 50 years ago. I don't know why they had me at Fort Bragg, but and I got generally discharged, and we know now after 40 years and finding out I had hepatitis C. And in 2010, in 2010, I got diagnosed with cirrhosis of the liver. And a good friend of mine, Derek Johnson, he shared with me, we shared the same illness, and he shared with me, he said, D, you got to get a biopsy. I got the biopsy, did I have social liver, go get a second opinion. I go to University of Florida. Dr. Nelson is there. He says, man, this didn't happen 5 years ago. It takes 30, 40 years for this to thing. Long story short, I never thought about going back and looking at the military because I was ashamed because I got out, how I got out. But I found out when we did find my military records, all of that, they had been testing me the whole time, the 2 years I was in the military. So I had to then prove that, hey, you gave it to me. You the process. So that happened in 2013. I was able to successfully with the VA. They awarded me a benefit for the liver disease. 2015, I had jackknifed a truck, and with liver disease, you can get encephalopathies where ammonia can go to your brain. Blah blah blah. Once I jackknifed the truck, and another time I ran into 3 cars. So they said, we don't think you need to be driving, Danny.
Right.
So they stopped me from driving. So, and then they awarded me 100% permanent total distance. So now you got this Danny who really was fighting it. And like my God said, why are you fighting that, man? I'm trying to give you some mana so you can go do what I need you
to do. Right.
So my wife and all of them said, okay. So anyway, long story short, the financial burden, because VA, finance, and I retired from the airlines, I retired from United Food. So that financial piece wasn't there no more. And somewhere along the line, it hit me. Man, I want to start doing what I always wanted to do,
Right.
And
so basically what you're saying is that through that experience that you have, that was a negative, and God turned it into something good because they end up giving you full benefits. So now you are financially stable.
Yes.
To be able to serve out the purpose that you feel like that God had given you, right?
Yes, that's
okay. So Danny, how'd you come up with the idea about the? I think it's obvious, but how did you come up with the idea about starting the nonprofit?
Well, when I was driving the truck before, I was still driving the 18-wheeler, and when I found, God bless, and shout out to Military Disability Made Easy. It was a website back then, 2013, and it had all the data for you to successfully file a claim. So I'm a research person, so I researched and really did my own claim. I walked through that and got to the 100% on my own with no. And so when I did get the 100%, we grew up with working with others. So I said, you know what, man, I can put this on a website. And that would be a link that I can send anywhere in the world. And if a veteran is wants to file a claim in Georgia, he don't need to see me. He can go to the link and I can FaceTime him and share him. And so that's what God moved me to that, because you got to have the tools. You can't, how you going to get out there? But I started that, but really what started pushing the issue, I went to the Crossing Church, and I had been driving, and I wasn't going to church on Sundays. I'd be probably in Miami somewhere. And anyway, when I started going to the Crossing Church, and I saw these guys greeting, and I said, man, I can do that. I didn't even ask them, can I be a part of it? I just started doing it, and I started going to the hospital. And so God said, okay, man, I see you. I'm going to start showing you some signs. So once he showed me, wow, man, you took me back 40 years to give me a blessing that couldn't be nobody else but you, because there's many who tried to get it.
Right.
And now I got to give back. I got to do service work. I got to do what I got to do. And so I started doing that with the church, and that was exciting. That was the start of the movement, the journey. And from there, I wound up doing the site. And for a long time, we would have guys, if they was in Houston, they could go on the site, and if they, got a snag, because Vietnam era veterans, they would give up easy because back then in the 80s and 90s, the Veteran Administration wasn't as amenable as it is now. Right. So those guys had, they had
a block.
A block.
Resistance, right.
Yeah, one of the things that we were able to do was to help them say, hey, listen, man, there's no constipation here. Did I say constipation? I'm sorry. It's here. You need to come on and work, come in here and get the benefit. And believe it or not, Regina, I mean, hundreds of people got benefits that not only did medical benefits, but financial benefits too.
So Danny, so that's my next question. How many veterans, and you just really answered it. I was going to ask you, how many veterans do you think you were able to help out with this nonprofit?
Hundreds, Regina. I mean, because at the time, and when people go on the site, it was just constructed that if you knew what happened in there and you knew what code to go get, it was an easy process. So guys were coming out of the military. Matter of fact, I would say hundreds, but I had two guys I remember, Jeff, they came out and I was helping them, and that's what they were 40 years old. That's what helped them with this social media piece. They started teaching me the social media piece. And I started teaching them how to get their
right. Yeah. You need go get a refresher. Call them up and get you a refresher. Look here, Danny. I was about to call you Peter earlier. Peter, man, just do what Jesus say, okay?
Yeah.
Right. So Danny, you got that started, and some other things took place before we get to the legacy part. But there were some other things took place.
Yeah.
You say in 2016, by virtue of Governor Rick Scott, you were elected and served a 4-year term on the Board of Supervisors, Parkway Center Community and Development District, ending on 11/16/2020.
Yeah.
So that must have been a prestigious honor to be able to serve in that capacity for this center, Parkway Center, right?
Yeah, think of it as a county commissioner in Houston. Florida has what they call community development district, small communities, and then throughout the whole state of Florida, and then it's like a municipality. So you're responsible for lights, just like a regular
right,
city.
exactly. So you got into the politic game now. So you also say in 2018, the compliance board member for Brandon Veterans Hall.
Yeah.
You were a compliance board member?
Yeah, my Brandon Veterans Hall, it really dear to my heart. It's still there. It was donated in 1972 by Ralph and Hilma McIntosh. It's a building that have served veterans for years. Mm-hmm. But like anything else, man, as the star players of the organization get older, you don't get the participation. And they was in a transition period with that. And so I came in, and my responsibility was to kind of get it, to get the documents right, make sure all of it, everything was on task. And so we labeled that preparation for the next generation. As Vietnam era veterans, we're on the front row, and the guys behind us are coming up. So our responsibility, what we come up with was that we would get the hall together, we get all the different, like redoing an old house. Mm-hmm. And we did that fun, it took 4 years, but if you was to see the hall now and like I always tell the guys, hey, if Home Depot want to see our documents, send it to them electronic. Our paperwork is in order. But it was truly a blessing, and they honored that board by putting a plaque on the front door, preparation for the next generation.
Great!
I was truly, and I'm still involved with it. I mean, I'm like Joseph in that situation. I tell them, listen, y'all move this hall, y'all take my bones with you. I was part of it.
Okay, see, so now, Danny, let's talk about the YMCA. Okay. Tell me about your involvement with that, and we definitely want to talk about what's coming up.
Okay.
What's coming up?
Yeah, the Y was a true blessing to me, man. When I was, what does one of my daughters say? You're a slashy, Dad. You do this, you do this, you do this, you do this. So the Y was the next thing. She's a millennial, so I'm slashy. I have multiple stuff. You got multiple stuff now too, so you're a slashy. Mm-hmm. But at any rate, when I was doing the district, we were building a amenity center, and now. Politics is it's a brutal game, man. So so put it as my Joshua story, right? And where you have to be strategic and all of that stuff. So when I was doing that, that's a whole mental picture. We were building an amenity center, $2.5 million. It's a lot of money involved, all that. The Y was kind of like a refuge to me. And when I went there, I lost I was 330 pounds. I lost weight. My A1C went down, all the thing. But more importantly, God built a family around me. And we created so many different things we created with the VA where veterans could come for 3 or 6 months who were at home with PTSD and, needed somewhere to come. So it was those 2 years when I actually it was just a change of scenery, a blessing, a brotherhood. And then I did a video. It was called Meet Danny Fleary, Tampa YMCA. And that video went viral. And
wow.
So, from the blessing piece, that's God once again. Right. I'm going to move some stuff for you. I didn't know something was going to go, but it went viral.
Right.
So my point is, I just have to keep following him and listen to him. Show me a sign, Lord. When they asked me to do it, I said, let me go do it. A whole other piece. But anyway.
So Danny, and what do you have coming up? Because we'll have a short period of time here. Okay. I want to make sure we talk about the legacy piece.
Yeah.
But what do you have coming up on April the 6th?
The YMCA has what they call NATO, which is a national organization. It's a major conference for the Y where all executives come and managers it's a philanthropy conference. So I'll be doing servant leadership. I be active as a member of the Y to host and support the people that are coming into our Tampa Bay area, the Y members coming into our Tampa Bay area. And I'm excited because through that video process, I've met people from Africa, from different places, and throughout the U.S., and hopefully I'll get to shake their hand and meet them.
That's a wonderful thing. That's a wonderful thing, Danny. Yeah. Congratulations on that. Yeah. So the last part I want to cover with you, and I want to make sure we talk about this, has to do with your legacy. So can you talk to the people about this latest blessing that God has bestowed upon you?
Yeah, it's like watching a story. And my dad, like I said to you earlier in the show, my dad, Big Dan Fleary, we call him, he would talk about carrying a seed. And somewhere along the line, and as I birthed the legacy, that came to me. You carrying honor, Danny. So the whole piece of the being an elected official, I can put honorable next to my name. I mean, because the Governor Rick Scott is the one that signed that document. All the different things that I did, but in reality, it's for this next piece. We talked about Joseph saying when he told his people when he was getting older, he said, "When you leave this place, take my bones with you." So all of this was set up for me. Now that we got the military, the VA and all of that is set up to, I'm working on now getting them upgrading that discharge to an honorable discharge. And the glory in that is that the Department of Army, it takes like 2 years. So I'm doing two things, being of service, because I'm asking them, I have a closed and shut case, so it really shouldn't take 2 years. You revisit that, maybe make a lane for people who cases are not as severe. So I got my congressman working on that. But for me, I got honorable from the governor of Florida, but I want my honorable discharge, and I also want to get buried in Arlington Cemetery. And you can be buried in Arlington Cemetery if you cremate it. So I told my kids, I said, you can go see, because I got family all over the kids, all different places. I said, you can go see Abraham, you can see Martin, you can go see JFK, and then you come see me. And the purpose of that, Regina, think of it as like my little cremation spot in Arlington. I'm inviting all my ancestors to come to a place of honor.
Right.
And that's the end of the story, man. That's the legacy that you leave. I can leave a lot of other different things, but the legacy. And I just want to, two things. I know we're short on time, but I really want to say shout out to my mother. I talk, for years I talked about my father because it's the seed. But my mother, Teresa Fleary, you know, she was a Wall Street banker. So she was the first one to hit me mentally. And in New York, we lived in a railroad apartment. And I got, you know, I was the, you know, black sheep. I got in trouble at school and I came home. So my mother says, wait till your dad gets home. I'm going to tell him. So, you know, you go play about 11 o'clock that night, it hits you. Man, he's coming home. Remember, tunnel construction working, right? So he comes home, key goes in the door. He goes to the front of the house where they buried. He walks back through the house. He goes to the bathroom. I said, oh, Lord, oh, man, Jesus. So he comes to the refrigerator, opens up, shuts the light, and goes back through the house back to his bedroom. So about 3 hours, I couldn't sleep. The next morning, I get up, get dressed, go to school. Come home that afternoon, and my mother was waiting for me. You know what she said?
What?
She said, next time I'll tell him. She ain't beat me. She made me think that for
a long time, which was worse than a beat. You lost sleep and everything.
And the key to that is when I was a chairman, I became chairman of the district, and I could appoint a vice chair, and I could hear my mother in my head saying, you better appoint the first African American female to that post. And I was able to do that, man. And God bless Teresa Ann Fleary.
Good deal, Danny. I really do appreciate you being with us today. Like I said, I know there's so much more to you, Danny. You are doing some great things in the kingdom of God, and you are definitely living out your purpose. Like I said at the beginning of the show, you know, legacy is not just about money. Leaving a legacy is not just about money or property. It's also, you can also leave a legacy of service. And I think that is very, very important. Keep doing what you're doing, Danny. Before you get out of here, before we let Danny go, I have a segment on the show that I do, Danny, called You Know You Old Win. And, you know, I didn't get a chance to do it in the second episode, but I want to make sure that I do this because I'm asking people to please submit your You Know You Old Win incident. So I got two of them I want to share. One of them was shared with me by a good friend. I don't know if she wanted me to give her name, but Danny, you understand this. You know you old when you're asking for a petroleum jelly instead of Vaseline. You know, back in the day, we didn't know about Vaseline, Danny. We had petroleum jelly for everything. You put it, it was your moisturizer, it was your skin softener, it was your makeup remover, everything. You know, I can remember, I can still see my mom taking a glob of that grease, because we used to call it grease, taking a gob of that grease and putting water with it, and lotion in my legs, my arms. We were some shiny people. You know you old when you can remember back that far.
That's right.
And another one I just want to share briefly, and this happened to someone, but as they were going to church on Sunday morning, walk out, getting ready to get into my automobile, and I have, you know, the keyless lock, you know, you just pull the handle if you got the keys nearby. So, you know, I pulled the handle on my car and the car didn't open, right?
Yeah.
So me being the way I am, you know, I know this is my car. You know, that's when you get old, when you want to put up with the facts, you know, you want to argue the facts, Danny, like being tech savvy. So I go for the back door. It didn't open. So I said, well, let me hit on my key, let me hit the little unlock. And I hit the unlock and I heard, doo-doo, but it wasn't coming from that car. You know, you old. You can't even find your car, you know, and you're trying to get into a car that's not yours. The thought that I was at the wrong car never even occurred to me. All right. Yeah. I just simply insisted that you would be my car. So, you know, it was me. That's one of my favorite, and this is not the first time that's happened either. That's one of my favorite, you know you owe. So if you have some, please send them in to me at PWP podcast at ccmedia.network. Please send me your you know you owe. I really do appreciate y'all supporting the podcast. Please make sure you subscribe and like. And I'm going to end the show like I always do, Danny. My favorite saying, if you're not dead, God's not done. Have a good day, everyone. Thanks, Danny.